have to say that I am so excited to see such a wonderful crowd here joining me today with Monique DeMaio. She is the CMO and founder of a 23-year-old marketing firm, On Demand CMO. And today she's going to talk to us about marketing tips that can drive business. And I'm Linda Fisk. I'm the CEO of LeadHERship Global, and I am absolutely thrilled to welcome all of you to the program today. For those of you that may not yet be members of LeadHERship Global, let me introduce you to this amazing community. It is literally the most impactful community of extraordinary women in the world, like Monique. We unleash the full potential of high-performing and growth-oriented leaders in a confidential, supportive, and private community. LeadHERship Global helps members accelerate their definition of success by helping them grow their leadership, expand their influence, and leave a lasting legacy. So if you're interested in learning more about this remarkable community of women leading across business, entertainment, and politics, then please reach out. It would be my pleasure to meet each of you individually and tell you more about this remarkable community of women just like Monique. Now, let's talk about the topic today. As business owners, I'm sure all of you think through how to effectively grow and scale your business with a tight marketing budget. And you know, it can be challenging to decide where to invest your time and your limited resources in marketing. Should you invest in top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel? Doing things in the right order, in a balanced way, in the right combination is absolutely essential. And it's the only recipe for success, especially as a small business. And so by employing a number of different and affordable strategies that can address the entire marketing funnel, from building awareness through conversion, all the way to advocacy, you can strategically, creatively, and tactfully garner customers and build revenues that allow you to eventually reinvest in your marketing efforts and speed up your growth. So it becomes almost a virtuous cycle of growth through investment. And so today we have the opportunity, the incredibly good fortune to learn the tried and tested marketing strategies that literally every business can take advantage of now in order to drive growth. Monique DeMaio, the founder and CMO of On Demand CMO, will share her best practices for success, and you'll receive, get this, an assessment checklist as a gift for attending today's session. Now, many of you know Monique, but for those of you that are not familiar with this powerhouse leader, let me tell you just a moment about Monique DeMaio. She is the CMO and founder of a 23-year-old marketing consulting firm called On Demand CMO. On Demand CMO is focused on B2B, specifically in the areas of marketing strategy, branding, positioning, messaging, lead generation, and sales enablement. On Demand CMO helps clients drive more sales and increase profitability by identifying their unique story, their voice, and the differentiators on how to leverage all of those factors successfully, which is quite the rare gift. On Demand CMO either supplements a client's marketing expertise on a project basis, or they can actually operate as a client's outsourced marketing department on a retained basis entirely. So I could not be more thrilled to welcome Monique DeMaio, a LeadHERship Global member and a true expert in the realm of marketing, to the program today. Monique, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was quite an introduction. After that introduction, I think we all need to stretch. Get up, off your chairs. Come on, we got to reinvigorate this energy. Come on, up, up, up. Everybody up. Let's go. Let's go. Stretch, hands up. Let's go. Linda, I see you sitting. Get up. Come on. Stretch, shake it out. Shake it out. Like, do your thing. This, whatever it takes. We just need to reinvigorate the, the ions and the whatever, neutrons, ions, protein, whatever. You get the point. All right, good. Everybody excited to be here? Kind of, maybe. So getting the same amount of energy on Zoom as it is in person is going to be my personal challenge. So this is what I'm attempting to do today. So I know some of you work for companies, some of you work for yourselves, some of you are solopreneurs starting own businesses and sort of run the gamut of where you are in the marketing, continuum. I'm going to say that the solopreneurs challenge is to not jump to a thing, right? I'm going to walk you through a process, and I'm telling you that I walk every single client, no matter what size, what shape, what industry, through. They have to do this so that you know where you're going to spend your money the best, if you will, the best allocation of your dollars. If you don't go through this process, you're going to waste it at some point or another. So the discipline and rigor around planning properly will yield results pretty soon, and then very much long term, because if you do it properly, we're building the house on a solid foundation versus worrying about this, the color of the, shutters when the foundation hasn't been built properly and it's going to sink, right? So I have the continuum that we talk about. If I may share my screen, I'm going to take you through my model. All right. So let's do that. Can everybody see this? All right, cool. Excellent. Perfect. All right. So let's see. It'd be better if I got to content. All right. So first listen, some of you are going to use marketing partners and some of you are not, but I just want to contextualize when you do. When you hire a marketing partner, listen, I know that I'm not going to end up working with most of you guys. That's fine. That's not what I'm here for today. I'm here to impart some knowledge, work on my speaking gig, like make new friends, whatever, right? So this is not a sales pitch. However, when you interview a marketing partner, when you talk to a marketing partner, understand their context. Are they coming from a design point of view? Are they a graphic designer? Are they somebody that does something about aesthetics, but may not be strong in the messaging and the positioning and the strategy, okay? Are they in social media? So they're going to come to you with all sorts of social media ideas, but they might be missing the fundamental crux of client avatars, how to position a product or a service. Are they coming from the lens of media or the lens of copywriting, where maybe they don't have the design sensibility, but they have great ideas and great content, but may not know enough about media? So just understand, when you're getting advice from an outside entity that is learning or may not know your industry, or if they do, what their lens is, so that you can take what they say with a grain of salt, okay? So you don't necessarily have to say, oh, everything I do has to be about social media, or everything I do has to look beautiful, but then the message is incorrect. So just be aware that you want to potentially use multiple resources to bring this stuff together, okay? Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? Kind of like, yeah, I'm sure it's intuitive, right? But people forget that, oh, my agency is a digital agency. They can't do traditional media, or they're only about my website. And that's not, you don't start with a website. If somebody says to you, let's work on your website, fire them on the spot, okay? Because that's not where you need to start. You need to start with the strategy and the foundation. So this is the foundation. It's the what. I'm going to go through what, where, who, where, you get the idea. So the what, have your business concept fully fleshed out. What is it? Who are you serving? What does it solve for? And then you have a choice of using any sort of accepted or long-term marketing frameworks. And believe me, you need to do this, because if you skip this step, you're going to miss it in the messaging, and then it's going to catch up to you. It's almost like compounded interest. So in our framework, we use Kano's. Kano has a framework called motivators, satisfiers, and differentiators. So my business concept, my product, my solution concept, my service concept, what motivates people to buy it? What does it satisfy in those needs for that person or that company? Because B2B is, obviously a major focus for me. And what is the differentiator? Don't tell me it's quicker, and don't tell me it's cheaper. That is not sustainable, and it's not going to work. All right. So be clear about what it solves for and why it is different. I have another topic that I like to talk about, which is different is better than better. And I mean that with all of my heart. You cannot go to market with something that is a replica of what's already out there with a just faster, quicker, cheaper model. It's not sustainable. So really be clear about what you're serving and what you're attempting to do and how it definitively is different from what is already out there. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Okay, Kim, if you want to chat with Linda, she can, I can't see all of you, unfortunately. I could see Kim, but I couldn't see. All right. So
okay, we'll take the questions in the chat, Monique, and then we'll have an open discussion at the end of the presentation.
Perfect. All right, the why. Let's talk about the why. So once we understand the what, we understand why we're different. We understand how we're different. We understand what are we solving for. Now we have to talk about the creative idea, the big idea, right? So these two components, it happens a lot with me with startups, right? Startups are focused on the what and the why. And then as we go through the framework, you'll see every sector of businesses, depending on how long they've been in business, and that's why I'm going to share my assessment with you, have different trigger points, have different problem points that they need to solve for, but they should start at the beginning of the process. So like when we work with Worldwide Tech Connections or FESCO or SMAC Systems, they all had this idea, but they didn't really understand their buyer. We need to understand how our creative idea works for our buyer so that we have the right language around it. So before you start messaging and positioning, you should really engage in a keyword search research, right? So Kendra here, who's with us today, we don't start a project with a client and do any messaging or positioning until we've done the keyword research. What are people searching for in that industry, in that sector, in that what are they for, what they're solving for? They are often, 90% of the time, this is what happens, they're not aware of competitors that pop up for them because they are just doing really, really smart keyword marketing, right? SEO, that's the name of the game. What are the keywords that you want to employ in your positioning and your messaging so that you show up on the first or second page, hopefully first. So what is the position? What is the messaging? So and don't try to be all things to all people. This is the one thing, if I had $100 for every time I had to tell a client, you're not being precise enough. You're not being precise enough. Your client avatar is not clear. You are not, you cannot be all things to all people. And your niche of a niche will allow you to be much more, if you will, you're going to own that niche. When you're known as somebody who serves a specific niche, whether you're a chiropractor or you're a software company, who am I serving? What is my product for? What is the vertical? Who are my vertical market customers? Who are my avatars? So as an example, I'm going to try to weave in some customer examples from our business. Whether we had the Phoenix Center and they weren't clear about their messaging. We had the LSTA, is a trade association with us, who didn't really understand that their whole MO were their members. If they didn't keep their members, they were going to go out of business. So they had some bottom of the funnel, some content issues. They had a ton of content, but weren't sending it to the right people, if you will, right? The idea of the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch has to be built on the language and the preferences of the target avatar that you're targeting. Does that make sense? Just give me a nod. Somebody give me hands. Give me like thumbs up. Give me some love. I need some love. So you want to be clear about your customer avatars. In our case, we know that we help our customers identify that there might be more than one. So an example, we work with a lot of technology companies, and typically there's three types of buyers, right? There's the purchasing buyer, there's the high tech buyer, who is maybe the CTO and CIO, and then there's the executive buyer, who's like the CEO, who's ultimately approving the check. So you want to make sure that your language, your messaging, your everything from the point of your website to your trade shows are speaking the same language, they're in alignment, and they're appealing to the people you're trying to appeal to. Don't use language that doesn't work for them. Don't overkill the jargon. Be simple, keep it simple, make it accessible. And that's the superpower, right? The superpower is, how do we, as marketers, help you guys who have complicated, complex product solution services, break it down and make it accessible. Nobody wants to deal with a company that is unclear about who they are, because imagine, like, if you're unclear about who you are, who do you think I think of you, right? So that's the clarity part, is the why. Target markets, elevator pitch. I think we've pretty much covered that. Let's go to the next step, the where. Okay. Whether you're B2B or B2C, you still have to worry about the where, right? You're going to worry about what my media outlets are. Where am I promoting my company, my product, my solution, my service? Where am I going to show up? And then what are my channels? So I have this thing about social media, right? Social media is not a strategy. Hard stop. Let's just end the conversation right there. Social media is a channel, okay? So let me take you back 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever. We used to communicate our advertising messages on radio. Wow, cool. Then TV showed up. Cool, excellent. And it was black and white. All right. Then it got to be color, and we used that, and marketers used that. And then guess what? We went from having 3 networks to 4 to cable networks. Great. Awesome. We use those. And then we had streaming services, and then we have social media. They are pipes. They are channels. They're not a strategy. So if somebody says, I need to work on your social media strategy, go back up the truck, babe. You got to work on my media strategy, not my social media strategy, because social is only one component of media. So far, so good. Then we need to, identify what's online, what's offline. Because again, if you have bricks and mortar, you have a whole other kettle of fish that you need to deal with. But it all needs to be aligned. All of this stuff, what you say, how you say it, your engagement process with your customers, whether they're B2B or B2C, the way that they process payments with you, if you take payments, all of that is a customer experience. Whether it's user interface, user experience, it has to be consistent with your brand. If you're putting out the language, and I remember this from Avaya years ago, it was like, oh, we're so easy to do business with. That's not what your customers say. Spectrum likes to tell me that they're easy to do business with. I'm like, have you used your own shit, man? Like, no, you're not easy to do business with. Who are you kidding? So we have that conversation. So be clear about who you are, what you stand for, and what your attributes are. And for the love of God, be consistent in every touch point in that manner. Don't say one thing and do another. Lose credibility, your brand equity is shot. All right, so I think I've belabored that enough. Now we're going to go to the how. The how is now what, right? Customer journey, lead gen, content marketing, thought leadership, ongoing communications. This is the part that once you've built the what and you got the why, and don't jump to the website. I don't want to hear that. Back up the truck, go through the discipline and rigor of this process, get to the where. And now, okay, so we're getting some leads, we're getting some clients, we're getting some customers. What happens? What do we do now? Okay, we have to provide value, ongoing. So that is whether it's newsletters, it's podcasts, it's email marketing. And by the way, let's just be clear, all of this is 80% about your customer or your client and 20% about you, maximum 30%, okay? If we're always putting out messaging that is our new promotion, our new product, our new solution, it's going to get old, and that's where we have trouble. So this is a conversation I have with Iron Mountain, is the same I would have with a startup. You have to make sure you understand your customers' needs and desires, and also pain points. And your content should be solving for that. Don't just gratuitously send them a newsletter about what you're doing. They probably don't care unless there's an angle about them, right? The expression, let me tell you about me, and let me tell you more about me. Like, your customers don't care about us. They don't. Period. So they just want to know how you can help their lives and be more effective, make more money, whatever. So let's talk about the low cost ways of staying in touch with your clients or your customers. Clearly, newsletters is one way to do it, couched in a value play. So I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. clearly you can put out, depending on what industry you're in, since we serve B2B a lot, we focus our development of lead generation and conversion on premium content. So we write white papers, we'll write executive guides, executive summaries, industry news aggregated in a way that's consumable, snackable content. So you write one piece long form, you chunk it out in blogs, in social posts, in direct messages, all of that. So we like to use the, develop once, use multiple times framework, right? So if you're developing a white paper, you probably could take that white paper and chunk it out into 3 blogs and 2 newsletters and maybe 6 or 7 blog posts that you intersperse in your rotation. If you're talking about a brand that is, most brands that are, the higher the complexity. So I work with a lot of companies in the defense industry, okay, as an example. So they are selling to the Boeings and the Lockheed Martins and the Northrop Grummans of the world. These guys are dry. Like if we try to be cutesy with these guys, they like unsubscribe, you're done. So you really need to provide, and based on our research, we know that the avatar of our client is either a purchasing guy or a guy that's on a team building a huge airplane or some such, or a submarine or whatever. The point is, they're not going to respond to fluff and they're not going to respond to pretty pictures. They don't give a. So we need to provide them content, thought leadership that they can dissect, that they can, bite into and say, all right, I get it. These guys are smart. I want to work with the smart people, because for the same price, who would you rather work with? The average dude or the smart dude? I mean, I don't know, right? So that's what you need. The more more complicated your pitch is, you're selling financial services, right? You're a bank. You want to be the bank that people trust and go to. How do you do that? You provide them value. Tell them stuff that's going on before they read it in the paper, or as they're reading it in the paper, and then give them an offer. Guess what? Rates are low. That's great. We love you. You have this relationship with us, and let us show you our love and thank you for being you. Great. Perfect. Right? So that's the kind of thing that we want to put out there, especially if you're in a commoditized environment where you're competing against people that do the same thing you do. Make sure you're putting out that content on a regular basis. So as an example, people are like, oh, why are you sharing, this model with people? This is your intellectual property. It is. But I also know that a bunch of you are probably taking screenshots of this, and that's okay. Because guess what? If you can follow this, everybody wins. I'm good. I'm happy. Like, pay it forward. It's all good. But you have to have the discipline and the rigor to go through that process. Now, this is literally a circle for a reason, because it's continuous, right? So you're at the what stage, you're kind of testing out your message, you're testing out your concept. You're in the learn stage, your creative, your target markets, your elevator pitches, whatever. Your wheres are when you launch, and then you're adjusting when you learn more about what your customers care about and how you can best serve them. So this is an ongoing process. And what happens is, this is where we find. So my enterprise clients are struggling with the how. My mid-market clients are struggling with the where. My startup and smaller businesses are stuck at the what and the why. So you'll see there, you don't feel bad if I work with privately held companies that have been around 40 years, they're family owned, whatever. They're great, but sometimes the market passes them by, right? So they need to look at themselves again and say, I'm no longer relevant. My marketing is no longer relevant, and I'm not in the right places because my customers don't know I exist. So off we go. We start the process again, right? So far, so good? All right. Okay, cool. So this is pretty much it this is very easy. It's simple, not easy, right? I'll say that like that. It's intuitive, because what I'm telling you sounds like it makes sense, I hope. Sounds like it's logical, I hope. But this is the way you need to do it, in the order in which you need to do it, to identify where you can put your dollars once you do this. So if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, it's real important that you understand your point of differentiation. If you're not clear about who you are and your differentiation, your customers and prospects don't know, and then they can't resonate with you, right? So I like to say there's certain aspects of our agency, of me, that doesn't work for some people, and that's okay, because you want to work with the people that want to work with you, B2B or B2C. So if you have a certain position, a certain niche, and then you're trying to be more than that, just that niche, the other niches may not like you, and that's okay. It's not, you want to make sure that you do really well with the customers that are endemic to you. And that, my friends, is pretty much it.
Monique, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining me today with Monique DeMaio, the CMO and founder of the 23-year-old marketing consulting firm On Demand CMO. Monique, you shared incredible insight with us today and gave us actionable information that I think all of us can take to our businesses to accelerate our level of success. And again, for all of you that are not yet LeadHERship Global members, I would invite you to schedule time with me to get to know more about this incredibly impactful community of extraordinary women all around the world. We would love to introduce you to our community of incredibly unstoppable women running businesses, running entertainment production houses, running think tanks and government entities. So if you're interested in learning more about LeadHERship Global, please reach out. And again, thank you so much, Monique, for sharing your incredible insight, your wisdom, your expertise with all of us about how to effectively grow and scale our businesses, even with a tight marketing budget. Thank you.